Interesting question about multitasking from Matt. How difficult is it when during a match, Gorilla may want you guys to promote the main event while the match is going on, when you're trying to not completely bury or disregard the match that's happening in the ring at the time? Like WWE had you guys do this all the time. You'd be talking about so-and-so was trending here, and we've got this new promotion coming up, and here's our main event storyline, and the big pay-per-view's coming up. Meanwhile, the guys in the ring are working their ass off, and we're just not paying very much attention to that.
Yeah, that's a problem for me. You got to pick your spots.
Yes.
Hammer locks, overhand wrist locks, stationary movement, all those things fit into your answer to your question there. So I don't know. You got to pay attention to the product. It's like saying the ball is on the 25-yard line and people are driving for a touchdown, and you're talking about what's going to be happening at halftime. It's not good. It takes your mind off the game, mind off the prize. I never liked that. I think we should have been more selective, and when we promote a match or still to come tonight or next week or whatever, we needed to be more selective. And then when you hear somebody in your headset say promote the match, they didn't want you to wait. That's the ones right then, right now. So, you do what you're told, but you also try to use a little bit of common sense and not take somebody completely out of the mood and the mode of listening to a wrestling match.
Interesting question here from Stuart Brody. And this is about one of the most famous matches in history. I think it's Cody's favorite match of all time. He wants to know, in the Rock Hogan match at WrestleMania 18, did you pre-plan the line, he beat Andre the Giant with that move after the leg drop, or did it just come to you in the moment? It was an unforgettable moment made legendary with your call.
Well, thank you. No, I didn't forecast that line. It just happened. It worked. It's memorable. We're talking about it today, all these years later.
Yeah.
So, you gotta just roll with it. It was one of those lines that popped in my head. Seemed like it fit. It seemed like it fit the moment, which is the most important thing. I didn't weasel it in. But I did the line because I felt like it worked and it was relatable. So, because we didn't have a lot of material prepared. I don't think Laura ever had a lot of material prepared. But you just got to go with the flow and find something that you can tie together. Find something that's germane to the topic. And, that's what we were looking for. That's what I was looking for. And we found a line here and there that seemed like it worked in that match. That match is going to be talked about and remembered for years. And I'm glad I got a chance to be a part of it.
Question from Chance Richardson, who happens to be in digital marketing. So he's always a forward thinking fellow. Yeah. He says, good old JR, where do you see the wrestling business 10 years from now? Do you see augmented or virtual reality playing a role? Now this sounds like a sci-fi question, Jim, but to be clear, Apple has already announced some sort of Google's glasses contraption. And a lot of people are thinking, hey man, that's what Oculus Rift tried to be like a decade ago. And because it's an Apple product, it might be widely adopted and have some studio heads and things like that start creating content for it. Do you think there is that in our future where we're all wearing these headsets and feel like we're in the arena?
Well, it could be because, there's things happening right now digitally that I didn't foresee in my lifetime, but it's there. So I hate to predict what's not going to happen because we see now that digitally there's no limits. So who knows how it's going to change, but I do believe change is en route. So we'll see how that works out, but I can't see things staying status quo. I see things getting better and improving. So, we'll see where it all ends up. It's going to end up someplace different than it is today.
Let's talk about what if. Dylan Leahy has an interesting question. Would Jim have ever thought about broadcasting baseball had wrestling not worked out? or was it always going to be wrestling or football?
Well, football was my first love, and I did a little football along the way. Uh, but yeah, baseball would have been fun. You know, Shivani's a great baseball announcer. He loves the game and takes it very seriously. He's a data guy, stat guy. But I go back sometimes and listen to some old baseball games, and the stories they tell are just tremendous. And Shivani would fit in that role real well. I could do baseball, but it would take a good producer and a research person, and let's see where it lands. So, yeah, I think a broadcaster just likes broadcasting. And if you got a special love, like I do football, and Shivani does baseball, then there you are. So, hey, who's to say I'm not going to do baseball somewhere? Who's to say that somebody's going to say, hey, we got a streaming scenario, and we know you umpired baseball for 20 years, you're a fan of the game, et cetera, and that's where we're going to leave that deal. So I don't know. It's hard to say. I stopped eliminating everything that I thought at one time I would be doing, and because I just don't know how to predict the future. Who knows?
Another great sports question here from Brent Barnett. He's got a question about Skip Bayless. Has JR ever had any interactions with Skip Bayless? I think both are from Oklahoma and both are a part of Sooner Faithful. Also, has JR ever had a chance to call an OU football game?
I haven't had a chance to call an OU football game, except in my mind. I've called a lot of them. I have since I was a kid, because I grew up as a kid of the radio era. So the theater of the mind, radio, audio, however you want to term it, was always in play for me. Skip Bayless, I've met Skip a time or two. He was very nice to me because of our Oklahoma heritage, and was very respectful. I know that he's very controversial on his TV show, but I think that's part of the character that he plays. But he's smart. He's a smart guy, and he's got great contacts and instincts. So I'm a Skip Bayless fan in that regard. There's a lot of real good morning people. The thing about Skip is that he's probably, of all the guys that are on TV in that time frame, he's probably one of the guys that allows his partners to talk, and they don't talk over each other incessantly.
Yeah.
So Skip, he's in his 70s, still making big money, and he's got a great audience. So, but who knows? I'd like to be on his show sometime.